Hi there, I'm Tricia Pine at rejoiceinyourvoice.com, home of the complete vocal system. I work with professional men and women whose voice is their livelihood, from singers to actors to public speakers to people who are the face of their business and rely on their voice every day, but are not quite getting the results that they want. One of the people out there on the YouTube channel asked a question regarding the soft palate. Could I explain more about how the soft palate works and what it's supposed to look like when I'm singing, when you're singing? So let's dive into this for a quick little overview of the soft palate. The way I like to think of the soft palate is it's kind of like the bass woofer for our voice. And when I am listening to a voice, a person that's really trying to find their authentic sound, what I listen for and what I try to develop in them is an awareness of the lift of the soft palate as well as a resonance within the mask. Now, this is all incorporated with the breath, but let's just identify what's going on with the soft palate. I think of the soft palate, if you look at it anatomically, you look at a cross section of the head, you'll see the soft palate here. And the soft palate, I have read that it has over 22 muscles in it. It really can stretch and do a lot of work there for you. So it's much more flexible than a lot of us realize. So the soft palate lifts, it can stretch, and it can just lie flat, right? So if you think of it as a speaker, it should be able to be a little bit flexible as we send up the sound vibration to use that to create the frequency of sound. The quickest way I know to sense the feeling of the lift of the soft palate, that arching of the soft palate, is when we yawn. And it's something that we all do very naturally. So if you bring yourself into that yawn space, you'll feel that lift of the soft palate. Now, if you were to yawn and then create sound, that sighing, right? That's where that lift can be. And you can be like, well, as far as timbre goes, you may not want to have it that far back, but that's where when we bring the sound into the soft palate as well as in the buzz and the mask, you then have the treble clef and you've got this bass woofer. So now if you're looking at an equalizing of the frequency of sound, you'll have both. To me, that's the ideal balance where it's got a little bit of light and a little bit of dark. It's all the colors in between, which to me represents more of that balanced sound. This is also something you can play with for different styles, a more blues style, a more jazz style. You may want a little bit more lift there with that little bite in the front. With a country style, you can still have a lift in the soft palate and lots of great twang right in here. For a more classical style, you definitely want to feel that lift of the soft palate. Another way people have described how to find that lift is through a surprise breath. Like, oh my gosh, right? So if you slowed that down and you felt that lift, the rush of air going up and over through the soft palate, right? It goes up and down. So that's another way to find it. Here's another way to find it. Go ahead and put your finger in your mouth and you can feel the soft palate and the hard palate. So it starts with the hard palate right here. Work all the way back until it gets soft. And then flex it. So think of that uvula space, you know, back there where you can see the little uvula, and lift that and while you're singing. And play with that, okay? So you can find that soft palate and just explore what it does to the timbre of your sound. Why not take it all the way back into that woofy space and bring it all the way forward into the mask. So now you've gone from way too dark to way too bright, and find the happy medium in between. I like to think of the soft palate as being lifted, arched, Another way is really feeling like it's as tall as a skyscraper. There's all sorts of things that you can do to try to feel that lift back there. And it doesn't mean it's going to change all your sound into being classical, but it'll give you some vibration in the sound, some richness in the sound if you're finding it's just way too far forward. This helps. The soft palate lift helps if you're feeling like you're straining for notes. It needs more space. If you feel like you're just scrunching down on the sound, you just need more of that lift and that space. I also want you to be aware of the fact too, though, that once you start lifting in, just observe the fact that the jaw is still staying relaxed, the tongue is still staying relaxed, the larynx is still staying relaxed, right? Because when we naturally yawn, sometimes our tongue will go back. Just play with, what if you yawn and you let the tongue relax forward? Ah, ah, right? Play with different vowels. What's the soft palate? It can still stay lifted on the E, the oo, the eh. It can still stay lifted. Play with that, knowing that you can still manipulate the tongue and keep the soft palate lifted. So I think of the soft palate as being arced and up as you go into this space. The breath comes in, lifts the soft palate. That's why the yawn breath is so powerful. Down into the lungs, thinking about the low belly breath and coming right out. You could also use this when you're speaking. I always feel that lift of the soft palate when I'm speaking, even though I have lots of mask resonance as well. Okay, you've got some homework to do. Don't be afraid to stick your finger in your mouth, go from the hard palate to the soft palate, and make some sound, seeing if you're keeping that soft palate lifted. All right, I hope this helps. Explore that soft palate, build that intimate relationship with your instrument, with your voice, with your body, so you can have all those colors available to you when you choose to do a song, when you choose to do a presentation. Just play with it. Have a good time. Until next time, rejoice in your voice. Bye-bye.